sí, probando sonido. Uno, dos, sonido. Uno, dos, tres. Hola, sí, sí, sí. Hola, 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 hola. Probando sonido, probando sonido. Uno, dos, tres. Hola. Hola, sí, probando sonido. Uno, dos, tres. Probando sonido. Hola, 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 hola. Hola, 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 hola. Probando sonido. Uno, dos, tres. Hola, sí. Hola, hola, hola. Probando sonido. Uno, dos, tres. Hola, sí. Ya veo. Probando sonido. Uno, dos, tres. Hola, sí. Probando sonido. Uno, dos, tres. Hola, 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 hola. Probando sonido. Hola, 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 hola. Hola, 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 hola. Hola, 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 hola. Probando sonido. Uno, dos, tres. Hola, sí. Probando sonido. Uno, dos, tres. Hola, sí. Probando sonido. Uno, dos, tres. Probando sonido. Uno, dos, tres. Hola, 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 hola. Probando sonido. Uno, dos, tres. Probando sonido. Uno, dos, tres. Hola, sí. Ya te veo. Ya te veo, ¿no? Hola, hola, sí, sí. Hola, hola, ¿me escuchas? ¿Te sale veo? Hola, hola, sí. ¿Eh? ¿Sale bien? ¿Te escuchas bien? Hola, hola, sí, sí. ¿Sale bien? Hola, hola, sí. Sí, 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 sí. Hola, hola, sí. Sí, sí. Hola, hola. Sí, hola, hola, sí, sí. ¿Sale bien en el audio? ¿Sale?
Hola, hola, sí, sí. Hola, hola, sí. ¿Se escucha bien? Espectacular. Se escucha bien. ¿Se escucha? Hola, hola, sí. Sí, sí, estoy hablando. Ahí te márcalo. Hola, hola, sí, sí, sí. Hola, 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 hola. Sí. Hola, 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 sí, sí, sí. Hola, 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 sí.
Okay, testing, testing. Uh, testing, testing. If you can hear me correctly, you need me to speak louder. Is it okay? Hello. Um, today is today's Wednesday, July 2022. We are in the Mercosur meeting. Good, perfect. Thank you. Hello? No. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear me? Do you copy? How do you copy? Good morning. Estamos en inglés. Please sit down so that we can start the meeting. Thank you very much. Good morning. Now the press comes in. Good morning. For me, it is a great honor to have you in Paraguay in this 60th meeting of the Common Market Council. This is our first gathering in person after 2 years of virtual meetings. I would like to acknowledge the commitment and the great efforts carried out by the member states all of this time. We have done many efforts to try to promote the economic and social recovery to mitigate the negative effects of COVID-19, the effects that it is still generating on a global scale. In this meeting, we will introduce a synthesis of the work done in the semester, besides other issues in the agenda that today bring us together. I would like to present to you the agenda of the meeting, which will be done in 2 sessions from 10 to 12. We will have the meeting of the Common Market, and from 14:30 to 17, the meeting with the associated member states of Mercosur. If there are no comments, and if everyone agrees with the agenda, then we could consider it approved. We approve the agenda, and now I will give the coordinator, Raúl Cano Ricciardi, who will present the report of the pro tempore presidency. Thank you. Colleagues, coordinators, representatives of the Bolivian State Vice Chancellor, Minister, Mr. President of the Mercosur Parliament and their committee, representatives of the Mercosur bodies with their own budget, Mr. President of the Permanent representation of Mercosur, Didier Olmedo, ambassadors, special guests. As Paraguay begins its pro tempore presidency, we have fixed a set of priority issues with the purpose of continuing the work that Mercosur had been carrying out. Likewise, we would like to include new themes on the agenda of our bloc. One of the challenges that have required our special attention is the process of financial recovery, economic recovery, in which we are, or all the countries of the bloc are focused on, and coming back to normality after 2 years of pandemic. That is why during the semester in which the presidency was carried out, we did over 250 meetings of all of levels of the institutional structure of Mercosur, meetings that were technical, up to the decisive bodies. Most of them were virtual, even though we slowly went back to presential or physical meetings, real in-person meetings. We approved 91 directives of the CCM, 16 resolutions of the Mercado Común Group, or Common Market, and 8 decisions of the Common Market Group that help support this integration process. Next, we will provide the most relevant results of the semester. Post-pandemic recovery. The post-pandemic recovery has been installed in the center of debate of the bloc, as well as the need of public policies in the work of reactivation of our economies, job generation, and increasing production. In the Mercosur arena, during this semester, we renewed the mandate of the ad hoc group to examine the consistency of the common tariff to the end of this year. So with great satisfaction, we managed to agree the reduction, the horizontal reduction of 10% of the external common tariff, benefiting the consumers who will have a larger access to products at competitive prices, and the productive sector that will have a broader access at competitive prices, and updating this tool of foreign trade policy. This reduction will contribute in the efforts of the member states in the recovery, especially in the fight against inflation. There was a consensus between the 4 member states. The addition of the Mercosur regime, there was a significant progress in the revision of the Mercosur origin regime, where just a few things have to be decided in order to adapt the rules of Mercosur origin to the external debate, to give it a modernity focus. In macroeconomic policies, at the initiative of this pro tempore presidency, the ministers of the economy and the central bank had an open dialogue, central banks, on macroeconomic policies that could generate distortions on trade and that do affect the bloc economies. We foresee to continue the dialogue during the next semester, and this morning there was a meeting of the Minister of Economy and the central banks. With regards to services, we moved forward on the 8th meetings of services, seeking to update the commitments in the bloc according to what was agreed with all the member states. Now, the analysis of the offers will require a larger analysis of the member states. So we have requested to move forward, and also we have worked with telecommunications classification and to adapt the automobile industry and looking at customs, and this will be adapted to the bloc. During the semester, Paraguay has sought to create a debate with the new technologies in the sector and the need of a balanced vision that will benefit all of the work in the sector. With regards to the fund for the structural convergence of Mercosur, we have reiterated the importance of the implementation of the second stage of FOSEM, for which it will be necessary to adopt and internationalize the Decision 2215 by all the member states. Also, during the semester, we have moved forward in the agreements between Mercosur and Fomplata for the FOSEM management in the projects Right, and the FOSEN meetings, we have taken note of the report of the condition of the permanent representatives on the state of FOSEN and the other documents that by the CRPM that are at the consideration of the Common Market Group. Institutionally, we have given continuity to the work of adapting the block and the structure of the block according to what was agreed in 0121 decision 0121. This has allowed us to move forward in the compliance of the schedule to adapt Mercosur to the new requirements of the process of integration. With regards to physical infrastructure, with great satisfaction, I can say that we approved the subgroup number 14, physical infrastructure that depends on the Common Market Group, to cover issues that have to do with the physical infrastructure so that we can encourage the projects that will contribute to better connectivity within the block. With regards to the arbitration and mediation centers, we have moved forward in the work for the creation of an arbitration and mediation center, a mechanism that if it is approved, it will provide Mercosur with an additional tool to overcome conflicts between the parties in private law without substituting the permanent revision tasks. We also approved the updating of the Olivos protocol to resolve controversies. This will help optimize procedural aspects in the system of the controversy in the block. During the semester, we also continued the dialogue between the consultation forum and the other decisive bodies of the Mercosur, especially with the Mercado Común group, to identify working areas and joint efforts that can allow to strengthen the integration process. The consultation social forum is the voice of the organized civil society. During this presidency, we also have had the 8th edition of the Businessmen Forum of the Mercosur, directed to people in general and to the interested sectors of the public and private sectors. That was divided into 3 sessions. One based on services based on knowledge, pharmaceutical services, and agri-food services. In all of the sessions, the forum had people from the public sector and the private sector. Also, we led 2 seminars. The first on opportunities of access to public bids in the Mercosur, and the second of sustainable products in Mercosur, with advances on sustainable agriculture and cattle breeding, the current challenges of the production chain and international trade with the environmental initiatives. Finally, in external relationships in the regional part, we move forward in the ACE 25 through work carried out to update the regime of origin. In the ACE 62 with Colombia, we worked on the protocol of the regime to solve controversies, and we move forward in the exchange of focal points for the transposition with the Dominican Republic. We started the work of the technical group together to promote trade and investment and the production chains. And in the extra-regional agenda, we move forward in the work with the European Union, COMIAS, with the purpose of deepening our public and commercial agenda. In negotiations, we have started work to start negotiating a trade agreement with Indonesia, and on agreements that have already been negotiated, Mercosur with the South Africa Customs Union. We signed the rules and procedures and a list of arbitrators and experts. Finally, and not less important, I make reference to the work with Singapore. During this semester, we carried out 3 negotiation meetings with Mercosur, physical meetings, which we have concluded the agreements of free trade, last generation free trade agreements with Mercosur and Singapore. That makes up the first commercial agreement with a Southeast Asia country. Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you, Ambassador Raul Cano Ricciardi, for the very thorough report. I want to celebrate everything that we have managed to, or that we have achieved during the presidency pro tempore, and specifically I want to celebrate also this achievement that was to wrap up the negotiations of free trade between Mercosur and Singapore. They were long weeks. We have Francis Chung with us, who is the negotiator of Singapore. And I want to give him the mic for a few minutes at his request. Mr. Chung, please, you have the floor. We now go to point 2 of the agenda, and in that sense, I want to give the floor to the representatives of Singapore, the Minister of Trade of Singapore, Mr. Gan Kim Yon.
Singapura, que segue pelos anos. O comércio com Singapura e o Mercosur é quase a metade do comércio que levamos com toda a Latinoamérica. Agricultura, tecnologia. Se faz investimento ou se faz negócio com os países. As associações comerciais entre todos para cultivar novas relações e capturar novos mercados. Esse acordo é um claro sinal do compromisso para manter os mercados abertos. É um momento significativo, a dinâmica do comércio internacional ha mudado muito significativamente desde essa atividade que começamos há um tempo atrás.
Next, Mr. Alvin Tan.
Suas redes comerciais e fortalece as relações e o crescimento econômico e o emprego para as pessoas. E não poderíamos ter conseguido isso sem os negociadores tão dedicados.
And in May this year, Dr. Francis Chong and I hosted teams from Argentina that we shared many things in common. One is our appreciation of food and culture, and warmth and curiosity in learning more about one another. Second, it's our belief in open markets, robust supply chains, diversification, and global interlinkages. And third, and most importantly, is our willingness to work together in the spirit of joint partnership to overcome challenges, achieve mutual benefit, and to build friendships. Since that lunch in Singapore, the negotiating teams have met twice. They have worked hard in Asuncion this past week to finalize the agreement. So our many big thanks to Paraguay for your strong presidency this year, and to all our Mercosur countries, our friends, for your leadership and support throughout the years. We look forward to working with our friends Uruguay as they take on the next presidency, and with all of our Mercosur countries to build upon what we have achieved thus far. And it's very important to keep this good momentum going. So we look forward, ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests, to signing this agreement together. And I'm confident that all of our parties will focus our efforts on preparations for our ministers to sign the Mercosur Singapore Free Trade Agreement as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tan, for your strong message. Thank you, Mr. Gan Kim Yong, as well. El cierre de este importante acuerdo de libre comercio se ha logrado.
Free trade agreement has been achieved, as Minister Alvin Tan said, with the joint effort of all the teams from both parties, to which I recognize and commend. And I believe and I consider that this big achievement deserves a big applause from all of us. Now we go to point 3 of the agenda, which is the current status of Mercosur. I will pass the microphone according to the alphabetic order. Please do not stand more than 15 minutes. And I will start the intervention round. Mr. Chancellor from the Republic of Argentina, Mr. Fierro, Chancellor from the Federative Republic of Paraguay, and from the Republic of Uruguay, my dear friend Justillo, Mr. Chancellor from Bolivia, my dear friend Graciela Maita, ministers from all the member states of the Mercosur. It's a pleasure to have you here in Paraguay, and these days we are finishing the pro-temporary presidency work. We provide a very intense agenda that taking into account the limitations of the pandemic and also not being able to travel. But now we are overcoming this. We can see the consequences of the pandemic in our economies made our efforts prioritize the recovery and the economics and the social aspects. To this reality, we have the conflict in Ukraine that provokes the limitation on food, energy, and strategic type of supplies, creating an inflation that is impacting those more vulnerable sectors in our societies. With these challenges and without forgetting our normal work, we created an agenda with the objective of answering effectively to our populations. During this past semester, we address issues related to social policies, economy, in a regional level, the relationship with the other countries. We have maintained a permanent exchange in different areas as health, safety, education, culture, and tourism. With all these works, we are putting the Mercosur at the same level of the challenges that we are facing, and we are going to mention these achievements. Being aware of the importance of the common external tariff, we decided to reduce it 10%. This measure is going to help us to improve our competitiveness when it comes to supplies and also giving fair conditions to our producers. And the agreement in the work group number 14 that has to do with infrastructure that will help us to improve the connectivity in the region. When it comes to relationship with other countries, I commend the negotiations between Singapore and the Mercosur with a free trade agreement. It is which we will gonna be able to increase our market with Southeast. With the common agenda, I would like to mention the creation of the arbitration and mediation group and center. We will be working with other partners to help give solutions in some differences that has to do with private law. I also commemorate the specific work when it comes to services that will contribute to update the Montevideo Protocol, putting this up to date when it comes to the economy. We also have started a dialogue when it comes to macroeconomic policies that are distortioning the commerce and are affecting the formal sector of the economy. We consider that with a constructive focus, This will help to generate the conditions for economic and regional development that is going to be balanced. We also continue to work in the automotive sector with the participation of the private sector as the eighth edition of companies and opportunities for public contracts and sustainable aspects inside the Mercosur. When we talk about the institution, we give continuity to all the bodies of the Mercosur with their own budgets. It is important to mention the need to commit appropriate funding that will allow them to continue and comply with their purposes inside the institution according to the Decision 0121. We also are continuing with the updating of the regime of origins. The same way, during this pro tempore presidency, we are trying to close a very ambitious agreement with the European Union, having some pending topics that requires efforts from both parties. We consider that these progresses are very ambitious, not only because it has to do with trading, but also social, cultural, and educational. And we have the conviction or the decision that we are going through achieving a more integrated citizenship among the bloc. Dear Minister, from the Treaty of Asunción, we, the countries, are building in South America a peace area, peace zone, trying to achieve the free transit of goods and services and assets of production. Considering our cultural or nations are dialogue and cooperating to achieve development in and also social justice that all people are expecting, looking for. It's important to consider that the context cannot deviate us from our common goals. So our process of integration through in the past 30 years, you will find Paraguay always ready to collaborate in this effort so we can strengthen this bloc in consensus. Your Excellencies, Paraguay repeats the need to have a special treatment considering their geography and the economic structure. Without the recognition of this principle that it's in the multilateral level and also regional level, the application of all the tools that have to do with common economical policies demands more cost from Paraguay, and we're losing competitiveness. So we request that this treatment to be permanent. Also, the interests of Paraguay, so we can apply the decision 22/15 that will make the FOSEN group or project or tool to continue, because this is very important to decrease the differences among the bloc. With the conclusion or finalization of the free trade with Singapore and all the progresses that we achieved with the European Union, Paraguay considers that it's very clear the international projection of our bloc with the presence of all the state members or member states. We have the capacity to negotiate. We have to continue on this path Finally, Paraguay reinstates the importance of respect to the law and the text that are part of the founding of the Mercosur when it comes to making decisions and free trade that have to be based on regulations that are equal for everyone. Thank you for your attention. Now, my colleagues from member states, Minister from the Republic of Argentina, Mr. Santiago Cafiero, you have the mic. Thank you very much to all of you. First of all, happy birthday, Julio. Look at your party. You brought us all here. Argentina wants to say thank you for the pro tempore presidency for this meeting. It is a meeting after these years of the pandemic. Also, I want to highlight the efficacy of the presidency of Paraguay that during this semester has been very active. It was their challenge to create this meeting in the beginning of the pandemic as well. I would like to recognize all the teams that work in the presidency, also in the coordination during the presidency. I will divide my presentation into, first of all, I would like to present the vision that we have from Argentina when it comes to the integration process. And later, I would like to highlight the results of the presidency. The intellectual writer from Paraguay, Augusto Rabastos, left us with an amazing quote. What we call fate is what we do with our lives. I would say that what we call Mercosur and what our four countries wants to do with this integration. It is time to make ourselves a question. The problems that our bloc has, the difficulties that bring us the differences and the changing international circumstances can be solved without the Mercosur. Our opinion is important. Argentina believes that we are and we always will be better with Mercosur, with you, with each one of you, with the people, the companies, the workers, the societies of this region of South America, the biggest state of integration possible. Our vision of the future of Mercosur has to do with deepening the internal agenda and the adequation and the projection in international level. The world is changing in a deep level. The value chains, the logistics, first during the pandemic and now a war that is happening in the heart of Europe that is impacting the whole world. They demand a more decisive and deepened integration type of answers. This could be a social and industrial and regional policy that is stronger and more firm. In a planet that is not only fragmented in a regional level, when the growing is going down with serious inequality problems, even hunger. Can you imagine with your heart that you will live better without your neighbors? Is there any serious studies that will show the advantage of studying a path by yourself without the consensus that we have in this block? And I'm not only speaking about the convenience of specific countries or blocks. I'm also speaking about the damage that the break in this cultural, social, touristic, financial, and producer aspects. And this is a policy of states of Argentina, that the relative position in the world is better if you are part of the Mercosur. We will be weaker without the Mercosur. we will have less muscle to face the challenges and the changes in production and trading outside of the bloc. We will have less presence international level. No Mercosur or one that doesn't follow the content or law, it will be more expensive for our regional and national capacities. Those capacities be asymmetrical and they require more work with more integration. When we founded the Mercosur, our countries and our people have were sure that this was represents a better social economic future. It was a common development strategy, and that will take us in an international level. We will have more power of negotiation in a world that suffered a globalization process in the last 30 years. When we started this bloc, the 4 founding countries accepted 2 principles. One, intergovernance. So we need the government more than any other instance. The consensus. When we make decisions, we have developed clear regulations. And during these 31 years together, we were able to apply both principles beyond the politics of each state. It's not about identity. Both principles make the Mercosur feasible. The solution has to be creative and they have to be adapted to the seasons that we are and the phases that we are, consider our differences in the structure. Some call it modernization. For Argentina, modernization doesn't mean breaking the bloc, but to deepen the integration. For us, modernization, it's working with new tools inside and not outside the integration process. We have peace, we have food, we have energy, we have capacity, scientific and technological. We have our people, our companies, our cultures that are deepen closely together, and we cannot not take advantage of this. And we should discuss how our next 30 years together should be. But for now, we have to start with the previous agreement. We had to have the partnership spirit. We have presidency affectio societatis. That has to do with international politics. You don't stop caring about your national interests, but you articulate them with the countries that are nearby you, that share the same strategies or goals. If we respect the institutions of the bloc, if we put all the capacity, politics and technology to think about a new phase of integration inside the Mercosur, the integration will be deeper and longer in Latin America. My second part, when it comes to the evaluation of the Paraguayan presidency, we just listened to President Cano about their work. I'm only going to highlight some of them, of the very long work that they did. The agreement of the fourth statement when it comes to the common external tariff. Also, we're going to sign an agreement for women that are in need of protection. As you know, the struggle when it comes to women violence or violence against women, it's a very important policy in Argentina. We value the 4 events that the pro-tempore presidency of Paraguay created, that has to do with the development, that has to do with the knowledges, the pharmaceutical area, the agro-food that are sustainable, the seminar about opportunities to have access to public contracts, the border, health, or region has problems of infrastructure and policies. So the foreign, when the presidency started, will allow to implement some projects that will allow us to make trading among the countries and people transportation easier. Also about the agreement when it comes to services. In the same sense, we highlight the automotive group, the regime of origins and infrastructure inside the Mercosur. I would like to highlight the agreement between Singapore and Mercosur. Being able to close these negotiations sees the value of the agreement set. It means that Mercosur can and it's willing to negotiate agreements, and it can do it as a joint work. And again, in consensus, no doubt, without any doubt, the negotiation in a bloc it demands more time, more effort. But we are convinced that the best strategy is not to rush in closing agreements with other states or blocs, and then this makes more difficult to work among our countries. This is key to conquer new markets. If negotiations do not show results that are balanced for everyone, it's better not to go forward. It is logic in negotiations. The external agenda has several other topics. All of them are relevant. For the next semester, we had to start negotiations with Indonesia and DR and also Central America and also European Union, and some that we have to still solve. Argentina has the will to sit down on table and is willing to do the work. We also will also be firm to protect our interests, considering the new demands that we have received from the European Union, according to the negotiations and the effects that the Green Pact will have on the exports from the Mercosur. In summary, Augusto Rabastos was very wise, because destiny is what we do with our lives. Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister Cafiero, for your intervention. As personal level, my dear friend Santiago, thank you for your reflections and recognizing the efforts and also the achievements during the temporary presidency of Paraguay. Minister of the Federative Republic of Brazil, Carlos Alberto França, you have the mic. Thank you, Mr. Chancellor. Congratulations for your birthday. Happy birthday. In Brazil, I was just remember that we have a birthday that is very important. It's a model, top model. So when it comes to birthdays of people that have their merits, one because they're smart, another because it's just beauty. But what's important is that we put together our talents. I also want to appreciate for your reception here. Also, Liz Kramer, the minister, she is my colleague from the Council of Itaipu. Every month I can meet her and share work with her. I have my delegation from Brazil here. Luzca Ferraza is the Minister of Economy. He is here today. And 3 ambassadors more from whom I have learned a lot in the last 30 years about Mercosur. I try to follow up Antonio de Carvalho. He's the ambassador from Brazil with Paraguay. Antonio Simões is a permanent delegate for the Mercosur. And the ambassador from Uruguay, and Michelas, it's the ambassador. He's going to be part of the Itamaraty, which is the foreign affair from Brazil. With these ambassadors, they made me recognize the importance of Mercosur for my country, Brazil, and our region. I was in a conference with the ambassador of the United States about the resilience of the value chain, and I was participant in a remote via online. And Paraguay will be soon part. And they were talking about the importance of how we had to do it in a regional level. So we have to have certainty of what we're going to be doing the next 30 years as well. We have the chancellor from Argentina, from Uruguay, my friend Rogelio from Brazil, and other delegations. It's a big satisfaction for me to participate of the common market. Being a chancellor from Brazil, I would like to appreciate the pro-tempore presidency of Paraguay and for their hospitality. We are here meeting, and it's a very important time to start thinking about challenges from Mercosur, promote a path and democracy in the region. That's not a minor thing, because we are free of conflict in the whole planet, and this has been more evident in front of our eyes lately. It's important to value this conquest, and we're still working to consolidate South America as a Pacific space between countries that are facing the same challenges for development. We are a zone of peace, of cooperation. We're also known for our energy and capacity of food production. Mercosur tries to find solutions for all the problems that the international community is finding. The current situation, it's inviting us to talk about economical safety or financial security, and in Mercosur we have to contribute and try to reorganize the value chain. We are a free continent of nuclear weapons and conflicts, and that has to allow us to be able to be part of the value chain and bring more investments and economic opportunities for our people. We have talked a lot about strengthening the value chain, considering the destabilization of the change due to the pandemic and the conflict in Ukraine. Considering these circumstances, we have very hard problems in the economy. The international situation makes us believe that in the long term we will have big benefits. In the beginning, Mercosur was known for looking bigger integration, not only into the member states but also other countries, and in that sense we are looking to direct our bloc. Our main goal is still to promote the modernization of the bloc. In this semester, where Paraguay was in charge of the presidency, we were able to have an agreement of free trade with Singapore, which is one of the more dynamic areas in the world. We have the opportunity with Santiago Zafiero, able to meet also Indonesia. And I believe that the conclusion of this agreement is very important. During the last semester, Brazil still contributing with the to strengthen the agreement with the European Union so it can be ready by the end of the year. We also want the agreement with the Mercosur can be signed soon. The agreements with Indonesia, Brazil will be looking for a balanced agreement for both parties. We have interactions with India. We're trying to make our agreement bigger. We're looking for concrete results in a short future. We're still having some meetings. I have a new partnerships with someone from the Middle East. This might happen during the pro-tempore presidency of Uruguay. We want to also have an agreement with the Republic of Korea. We consider it's very important also to progress in the measures of food safety and plant safety, and then start working with Canada and Lebanon. Also, I would like to recognize the pro-tempore presidency of Paraguay for the agenda with Latin America and the Caribbean countries. This has to do with our external or international relationship, and this is the direction in which we should be walking to. With more integration with the world, we have to check for we have to have more flexible mechanisms that will take into account our integration process. Mr. Chancellors, ambassadors, the revision of the common external tariff is still a priority. We ask for all the member states to have a horizontal reduction of 10%. This is a historic decision that has to do with more integration and international change of value. Right now, with the international inflation, this will improve the competitiveness. We will keep giving a priority to the regime of origin so we can have a better and more integrated bloc. The negotiation has advanced a lot or progressed a lot in this semester. And we also have seen the progress of an update of commitments when it comes to trading and services inside the Mercosur that will result in more services available for all people and more markets of services in among the different countries. When it comes to free trade, I would like to highlight the part of regulations. I would like to commend the pro-tempore presidency of Paraguay for the trading forum, also pharmaceuticals, agro-foods, and services that are based in knowledge. I see the progress of the Mercosur with joy, making the bloc closer, and in conclusion, all the protected measures for women that are facing gender violence in all of our countries. I would like to also congratulate the temporary presidency of Paraguay for the sustainable productions measures, the agricultural, because these are very key for all of our economies. We are sustainable economies and we had to strengthen all of our credentials and our commitments in these areas in which we are every day more demanded. We want this work to continue. And we can also give more steps forward when it comes to infrastructure and create a group work or a team of work, even considering the initiatives that we already have. And we would like to give a follow-up to the institutional reform inside the Mercosur so the group can be more modern and dynamic. Please come with Brazil next semester. We would like to register that the joint work will continue. We will make our response better in the future. I again congratulate Paraguay, and I would like to wish the Chancellor for Uruguay all the success in the work that you will have now as a temporary presidency of the Mercosur. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear Minister Franza. The comparison when it comes to my birthday, that was a little unfair, but you clarify that she is beautiful, and in my case, I will say more than my intelligence, my friendship with all of you. So thank you, Carlos, for give all the support in our integration process and speaking about the future projects that we have, and also for highlighting which were the achievements of the temporary presidency of Paraguay. I just arrived in less than 3 months. This team from Paraguay, and I, especially these days, I recognize the work, the daily work and strong work that they have, so we can progress in our integration process. Thank you for your words. I would like to give the microphone to the Foreign Affairs Minister of Uruguay, Mr. Castillo. You have the microphone now, distinguished minister. Good morning, Chancellor for the Republic of Paraguay. Happy birthday. Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Economy of all the member states. I would like to congratulate the temporary presidency of Paraguay so we can have today a meeting of the South Common Market in presence. If the virtuality has allowed us for all the foreigners to keep working and developing and doing their work, we understand that meeting in person, it's an added value and gives space for more fruitful dialogues. I would like to highlight that the Paraguayan presidency has a huge challenge of leading an agenda during a very difficult time like the pandemic. When this started in the first months of the years, another world crisis started an alarm, a conflict in which we had to suffer human loss, and many people had to leave their houses due to the invasion to Ukraine. Ministers, Mercosur has to navigate in a very complex scenario. Our bloc has to have the capacity to offer to all the members a framework that will allow the development of their people and their economy, even though we have those challenges. In previous interventions, I was mentioning the need to work in a more realistic and modern way, as well as the need to work with a wide vision that will allow us to explore different alternatives in internal and external aspects of the Mercosur. In this sense, I would like to highlight again the reasons behind this need of modernization. After 30 years of the Treaty of Asunción, we have now been able to achieve the goals. The main axis when it comes to policy that has to do integration of our customs and external relationship has been postponed over and over again. Also, the schedule are showing us more clearly that we're not in front of a common market. We can not also achieve the common customs because we have common external tariff that it only looks for different regimes, exceptions, capital, goods, agricultural supplies, etc., and the excluded sectors. Up to date, this is just a free trade zone that is imperfect. We have at least 5 times tried to promote this with programs and processes that even include a launching of the Mercosur. So it's been 30 years since we are in a permanent transitioning period. So I would like to reiterate that Uruguay, as a smaller economy, cannot have a common external tariff that is elevated unless we have benefits in 2 aspects. First, the free access to a bigger market. Second, a better negotiation when it comes to dealing with third countries. I also would like to highlight that we not only have achieved these 2 points, but that the situation has been deteriorating in the last few years, especially when it comes to trading with some of the members. We have a lot of uncertainties with the world, and we cannot add more uncertainties. We have to provide trust and certainties. We have to progress in the integration process in a realistic and pragmatic way. Ministers or country considers that we have to start the modernization when it comes to the external relationship. We believe that a big part of the success has to do with being inserted in the international world. We commend the successful negotiations of the Mercosur with Singapore to create a free trade agreement. It's a clear vision that we can and will be improve this. Uruguay always would like to improve this and promote this in an transition common market. It's important to increase the access to third markets so we can have sustainable industrial projects. That's why we have to have a very ambitious agenda that will allow us to negotiate with relevant actors in the world, considering doing it in a joint way with all the member states, if it's not possible, individually, but per each country. When it comes to external relationships or affairs, we have already mentioned that we have always have or right to have agreements as a Mercosur, as an individual country, and we reaffirm our rights to negotiate with other blocs, and we also maintain our commitment with the regional integration as a member state. In this context, our country seriously continues to have exchanges with China in order to achieve with a free trade agreement. We have been very transparent on this, and we have communicated to all the member states of the bloc. We will continue this dialogue with all of you, be it with this negotiation with China or with the dialogues that we have with other countries. To finish, I would like to let you know that during our temporary presidency, Uruguay will focus on the integration to achieve the modernization of and the external relationship of the bloc. I would like to reiterate our part. We have heard from our colleagues some affirmations that may be in doubt our commitment with Mercosur, or genuine commitment with this project that we have been building with the efforts of all the members. That is why in this new meeting of the Council that Uruguay have joined this integration in freely and in its sovereignty. We don't like our will to be put in doubt. So we want to put in clear that we will negotiate with the member states or individually those agreements that we consider important to improve the well-being of the Uruguayan people. We thank our brothers from Paraguay for their work during the temporary presidency. Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister Justillo, for your intervention. My dear friend Francisco, thank you for sharing with us your comments and the position of Uruguay when it comes to the strengthening our bloc, and also for commending the temporary presidency of Paraguay. Minister from Bolivia, Mr. Maita, you have the microphone. Thank you, President. Greetings to all my colleagues, Carlos Alberto, Francisco, my colleagues that are with us in this meeting. I would like to speak as a country that will join the Mercosur. I will do it as a joint or a partner of the Mercosur. We thank Paraguay for their hospitality that's showing to us, especially to the Julio Cesar, the Chancellor, for calling us for this meeting. As well, I would like to commend Julio for his birthday today. It's been a very good way to celebrate, which is working for our people. Bolivia reiterates its commitment with the deepening of the regional integration based on just and equalities opportunities, something that will contribute to the economic and social and the quality of life and the eradication of poverty and hunger and with our population. The world is facing one of the biggest crises. First, the pandemic. The most vulnerable population is now suffering and inflation in most of the continent and the world. As many years ago, we experienced it. That has to do with the payment and currency that puts the region in a very uncertainty situation. In this complicated context, the response for the South has to do with more integration and unity among country brothers. Bolivia is subscribe their they submitted their request to join Mercosur because we believe that only integrating with you we can face the challenges ahead. As a country, we have a huge capacity when it comes to production, innovation, experience, and energy. The possibilities to complement other countries with other countries of the Mercosur are huge. Bolivia shares 72% with countries of the Mercosur, and we have a geostrategic position in the heart of South America that put us as a natural way to the Pacific Ocean. That is why I reiterate in the name of the Bolivian people the deep interest in making Bolivia a full member of the Mercosur. We appreciate those who ratify of action protocol that's been submitted for 10 years now. We hope that we can celebrate or join as a permanent member soon in our continent, and we can consolidate the integration of South America. We commend the presidency of Paraguay for the important progresses in the integration in the sub-regional level. We highlight the dialogues when it comes to the policies of Mercosur to apply measures that will allow us to promote all the economic plans post-pandemic in a joint way. This has the Central Bank of Bolivia was part of this coordination, and also the energetic coordination. We would like to keep working in a regional level with clean technology and renewable. In this sense, we have proposed Brazil studies for hydroelectrics on the river that will allow us to use the energy and develop the region. With Argentina, we're talking about the electric integration of 132 kilovolts that will connect also the static with the Tartagal. It's a place in the neighbor country, and we can export 120 megawatts. We propose to all the member states to identify those opportunities that can help us to contribute to the use of or better use of our resources in the electric system can be of benefit for our people. We also highlight the decision to give continuity to the FOSEN, to decrease the asymmetries, the dialogues for the Center of Arbitration, the dialogue among the economic and social bodies, the strengthening of all the coordination mechanism in the border, and especially when it comes to health. We are sure that with Bolivia as a full member, we can contribute in all of these areas that I just mentioned. And finally, in the name of my government and the Bolivian people, we express our firm will to continue to get closer together with the countries of the Mercosur and work jointly in the development of an agenda that will allow us to overcome all the challenges and the continuous strengthening of the regional integration. Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister Maita. Dear Rogelio, I would like to thank you for your commitment when it comes to the integration process and the open intention of Bolivia to integrate as a full member of the Mercosur. That says a lot. That means a lot. Also, I would like to say thank you to all my colleagues that are congratulating me for my birthday. This was not premeditated. Now my wife, if it's actually nagging me about it, but I'm sure that with your presence, she cannot really complain. So thank you very much. I would like to recognize, and Carlos reminded me of this when he was presenting his delegation. I have ministers without I wouldn't be able to do my job as a national coordinator. And these are my friends, the Ministry of Commerce, Mr. Llamosa. He is my friend of Industry and Trade, Luis Castiglioni, who I'm known for a long time. He's younger than me. And Minister Santiago Bertoni from Agriculture, who I recognize all of this work during the pro-tempore presidency of Paraguay. Following the agenda, we will receive the report of all the representatives of the Mercosur